Now, AI is used for a plethora of reasons, whether it's cheating on your homework to generating images of a T-Rex riding a cow. The possibilities are absolutely endless. So today, I thought we'd put AI to the test and find out its top 10 favourite characters from the Walking Dead universe. Now, for this experiment, I used ChatGPT, gave it this cue, and I just let it cook. So, in this video, we will go over the choices it makes, break them down, and evaluate AI's opinion on The Walking Dead. So let's get straight into the video. Now, coming in at 10th spot, the AI chose Alpha, and its reasoning for this was, quote, "Alpha is the most chilling villain in the entire universe. Her feral, emotionless leadership of the Whisperers represents a terrifying survival ideology. Her twisted maternal instincts and cult-like charisma add psychological horror to the series in a way few characters can." So essentially, the AI has chosen Alpha for the brutal mindset and leadership of the Whisperers. And whilst I agree she is an incredibly compelling villain who is not only sick and twisted but fleshed out whilst being portrayed brilliantly by the amazing Samantha Morton, having her in a top 10 is absolute ludicrous, especially when you add in characters from spin-off shows and the Telltale games. Look, I'm not denying Alpha isn't a great villain. The Whisperers as a whole posed a threatening group and re-added that fear factor back into the show that hadn't truly been there from a zombie perspective since all the way back in season 2. I think her and Beta make a menacing and formidable duo, and I really do like the concept of people embracing the chaos of the apocalyptic world and wearing walker skins to blend in with hordes and control them. On top of this, her complex and layered dynamic with her daughter Lydia was interesting to watch, but having Alpha anywhere near your top 10 is kind of wild in my humble opinion. Look, like I said, she's a great villain, but this is a massive stretch from me. I don't think narratively she's a top 10 character, and she is most certainly not on there for likability, so I think AI is off to not the worst start, but still a pretty questionable one. In at number 9, the AI selected Daniel Salazar from Fear the Walking Dead, and trust me, I am just as shocked as all of you are. The AI gave its reasoning as this: a former secret police agent with a secret past, Daniel is cunning, deadly and tragic. His complexity, loyalty and descent into possible dementia and then back again make him one of the most layered and unpredictable characters in Fear. Okay, we have a lot to unpack with this selection. Whilst I do agree, Daniel Salazar is one of the most interesting characters within the Walking Dead universe. I mean, his character is steeped in this rich backstory with him being an agent for the Salvadorian Junta, and during the early days of Fear the Walking Dead, he is a huge standout. His ability with firearms, ruthless nature, and strategic mindset make him a massive highlight in that show for me. Add to this the whole tragic storyline about not only his past, but his relationship with his daughter, and the fact he never got to see Ophelia before she died, missing her by only a matter of minutes, made it one of the most harrowing moments in the early seasons of Fear the Walking Dead. And Ruben Blades, the actor who portrays Daniel Salazar, is absolutely phenomenal in this role. However, post season 3, this character gets flat out assassinated by the new writers. He becomes a shell of his former self. In season 3, Daniel's story reached a kind of peak. He survived the fire at the Abigail estate, dealt with the guilt and trauma of his past, and found a renewed sense of purpose by helping Lola run the dam. And his either death at the dam when it was blown up, or set up for future conflict with Victor Strand after he'd shot him in the mouth, felt like an interesting next step for the character. But in reality, he's not even present until midway through season 5, and his character is just demoted to a one-dimensional side character. To add to this, he gets this pointless and boring storyline about his memory loss, which could have been interesting if done right, but it's just not. And what you get is a great character that becomes almost unrecognisable from the morally grey badass character we saw in the early days of Fear the Walking Dead. So look, Daniel's a great character for the most part, but not only is he absent for huge parts of Fear the Walking Dead, appearing in only about 40% of episodes, which for a non-villain character who is a part of our main group is really not that much, considering he survives the whole show. And I think having Daniel this high in a list about the best Walking Dead characters from across the universe is absolutely crazy, and I have no idea what the AI's thought process is behind this one. Again, Daniel's a good character, but he should never be this high on this specific list. Coming in at the 8th spot is another rogue shout from the AI. They have selected a Grimes, but probably not the one you'd expect, as Judith Grimes makes an appearance in the top 10. And this was the AI's reasoning. A symbol of legacy and hope, though young, Judith carries the weight of all the major characters before her, Rick, Michonne and Carl. She's brave, principled and wise beyond her years. A next generation leader with the heart of both her parents. Okay, hear me out, this is arguably worse than the Daniel Salazar pick. Again, Judith isn't a bad character by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I think for a kid, she's actually really likeable. Because in the setting of a zombie apocalypse, often kids can be quite whiny and annoying. But Judith is quite the opposite. But having her in a top 10 is absolutely insane. She appears in 84 episodes, but only about 50% of them is she actually old enough to speak in, and like the AI said, she is brave, smart, and wise beyond her years. I still think having her in the top 10 is a massive stretch. But look, that being said, I particularly love her little katana that she carries around, and don't get me wrong, her relationship with Negan is one of my favourite dynamics in the latter seasons of the main show, and I enjoyed her increased roles within seasons 10 and 11. But for me, she just isn't super compelling as a character. She doesn't have a big enough impact on the story, at least with her own actions, because I guess you could argue she is part of the reason that Rick keeps trying to survive. But I still think that there is a plethora of characters who are just better than her from across the shows and the game, and having her ranked at 8 is just far too high in my opinion. Coming in at the number 7 spot, the AI has chosen yet another character from Fear the Walking Dead. However, this time, I think it might have actually done a good job. Alicia Clark is the character the AI chose, and it stated this: one of the few young characters who genuinely matures and earns her place as a leader. Her moral compass, survival instinct, and emotional depth give Fear the Walking Dead a strong anchor for several seasons. She becomes the hope for a better future despite everything. And dare I say, AI might have actually cooked with this selection. Alicia Clark is one of the best characters not just in Fear the Walking Dead, but throughout the Walking Dead universe as a whole. And as the AI so rightly mentioned, Alicia's journey to the character we see at the end of her 8 seasons within the show is truly staggering. She matures so much from the privileged and annoying teen we see in season 1. I particularly love the exploration of her relationship with her mother, Madison. At the start of the series, Alicia feels neglected because Madison pours much of her energy into Nick, her brother, who struggles with addiction. This resentment makes their connection feel authentic. Alicia loves her mother, but she also longs for independence and, most importantly, some recognition. Their dynamic mirrors real-world family struggles, and the scene of them two at the hotel in season 2 of Fear just having a heart-to-heart is such an underrated moment in the series. Alicia's journey is truly astonishing. She quickly grew out of that annoying teenager stereotype that other characters failed to do, such as Chris Manawa from the same show, and she managed to become a compelling and likeable anchor for the series. On top of this, she is one of the few bright sparks left in Fear the Walking Dead post Dave Erickson era, and I just really enjoyed her dynamic with Teddy in season 6, her relationships with Nick and Strand throughout the first 3 seasons, and of course, Madison. Alicia Debenham Carey, the actress who portrays Alicia, is once again incredible in this role, and all round this is just a great pick from the AI. Alicia would definitely feature in my top 10, and I actually think the AI has done a good job with picking her here. In at the number 6 spot, the AI chose Michonne, and once again, this is a pretty solid pick. Its reason for choosing her was this. From katana-wielding enigma to devoted mother and warrior, Michonne is a perfect blend of strength and vulnerability. Her intelligence, sense of justice, and sheer presence make her a standout, and her journey to find Rick is one of the most emotional arcs in the franchise. And this is a pretty deserved spot for Michonne. I mean, say what you like about her romantic relationship with Rick, as a standalone character, she is absolutely superb. Making her appearance in the final episode of Season 2, she is basically an OG character at this point, who not only survives until the end of the show, but also appears in the spin-off show The Ones Who Live. Right from the get-go, Michonne is portrayed as a skilled fighter, loyal friend, and capable survivor, but throughout the course of the show, she develops into so much more. Her friendship with Carl is genuinely one of the most heartwarming relationships in the entire show, and her evolution from a distrustful outcast to a core member of our group is a great storyline for her. And like I mentioned earlier, some fans don't like that the writers put Rick and Michonne together romantically, but I for one love that dynamic as well, and her tragic backstory just adds layers to this character. So look, overall, I think Michonne is not only one of the coolest characters in the entire show, but also one of the most compelling, and seeing her evolve from a loner all the way to a mother was just so beautiful to see. And a lot of the show's best moments involve her. I mean, her dynamic with Merle, the moment in Alexandria where she has to knock out Rick because he's gone insane, or the governor's siege on the prison where she kills the governor herself. So yeah, the character's not only likeable, but absolutely pivotal to the story. And Denai Guerrera smashes this role out the park. So I think spot 6 in this list is a pretty good place for the character of Michonne. Right, next up, the AI is bound to have caused some controversy with this one. At number 5, the AI selected Daryl Dixon due to these reasons. A fan favourite for good reason, Daryl starts as a gruff loner and becomes the emotional heart of the series. He's loyal, fierce and resourceful, and his spin-off shows him reckoning with loneliness, identity and finding a purpose in a new world. Not only have I never heard of the word gruff before, but I am certain that this one will ruffle some feathers. Look, Daryl Dixon is an absolute shoo-in for top 10 characters across the Walking Dead universe. His journey is one of the best storylines in the entire series, and seeing him evolve from this redneck hothead to a leader and a friend is such a rewarding payoff. His friendships with Rick and Carol are some of the best dynamics in television history, and I love how the writers treated his character. For example, most of our group in the early seasons of The Walking Dead are way out of place and lost in the apocalypse, but Daryl is almost better suited to this new world. It's an exploration into identity, and the tragic moment where Daryl finds his older brother Merle dead is one of the saddest in the whole series. Yes, I get it, Daryl sometimes may be a tad bit overrated, but he is without a doubt one of the best characters in the whole show, and although I personally think he works better as a side character alongside Rick, he still did a great job as the lead in the latter seasons of the main show. Daryl and his crossbow are just iconic, and Norman Reedus brings such grit and charisma to the character, which helped to cement him as this fan favourite we know and love to this day. I mean, there was even a movement for if Daryl dies we riot, which just shows you how loved he is amongst the fan base. And on top of all of this, he has his own spin-off show. So yeah, Daryl Dixon is without a doubt a deserving member of the top 10, but I think number 5 is actually quite harsh for him. I'd probably have him up around the number 3 spot, but still AI hasn't done that bad with this pick. Because let's be real, Daryl was always going to be here, it was just a matter of what spot he was going to be. Coming in at 4th and just missing out on podium position is Negan Smith, and this was the AI's reasoning. One of the best written villains turned anti-heroes, his charisma, dark humour and eventual path to redemption make him fascinating. Dead City deepens his character, showing that even the worst people are capable of change and guilt. And let's be real, no one delivers one-liners like Negan. Okay, the AI is even throwing in some witty banter at this stage, and as much as it pains me to say, once again, I think the AI is pretty spot on here. In fact, me personally, I'd have Negan in either my 4th or 5th spot for this exact list. And I can't think of a more perfect actor to play the role of Negan than Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and the monologue he delivers during the lineup scene is flat out one of the best scenes in television history. Negan is one of those characters who, whilst terrifying during seasons 7 and 8, was also just kind of likeable. Like he'd killed two fan favourites in Abraham and Glenn, and yet people still loved him thanks to his charisma. Negan's redemption is also done incredibly well, and he is a large part as to why I still enjoyed the Walking Dead main show post season 10. The exploration into his relationship with Maggie was superb, even if it is a bit drawn out now thanks to Dead City, and the chemistry he had with Rick Grimes on screen was just phenomenal. Negan is widely renowned as one of the greatest villains in television history, and for good reason. He genuinely felt untouchable at a point in the story, and was the first true time Rick and our group had been totally demoralised. He crushed both audiences and our characters, and after that lineup scene our group just lost hope and a sense of unity. They had survived Terminus, the Governor and the Wolves together, but during Negan's introduction they truly felt helpless. And to have a character who works that well as a villain and then manage to successfully flip them into a character we grow to root for is just incredible. I think Negan is captivating, intriguing and emotionally layered, as well as the fact he's able to carry entire episodes by himself. I mean, take the episode Here's Negan for example. For its entire 50-minute runtime, it's pretty much just Jeffrey Dean Morgan, sprinkled in with some other actors, yet it's critically acclaimed, receiving a 9.2 rating on IMDb and quickly becoming a fan favourite. It's also the highest rated episode post season 9. So look, when you think of The Walking Dead, Negan is one of the first names that will pop up in your head, and he is just an amazing character overall. So I think 4th is probably the perfect spot for him. So I guess hats off to the AI once again. Now, it's a rather hard fall back to reality for AI, as it selected Morgan Jones in its 3rd spot, and this was the reason it gave. Morgan embodies the mental toll of the apocalypse, his journey from unstable loner to a pacifist trying to clear the world of evil, then back to a survivor who walks the line between peace and necessity, is deeply philosophical and raw. He is one of the most human characters. Okay, firstly, the AI might be the most unqualified thing on the planet to distinguish what's human or not, but secondly, this is an outrageous take in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the character of Morgan Jones for large parts. I think his singular episode appearances in seasons 1 and 3 are exceptional, and for the majority of his stint on the main show, he was one of my favourite characters. Lenny James is amazing in this role, and when he had the right material to work with, he is absolutely exceptional. I mean, the scene in season 3 where Rick finds him all alone and has that conversation with him when he wakes up is some of the best acting in the entire show. And I'd also like to shout out when Morgan sees Rick execute Pete. Morgan is involved in some of the greatest moments in the show's history. However, season 8, in my opinion, he gets annoying, and then he gets moved over to Fear the Walking Dead, and through no fault of his own albeit, he inadvertently destroys that show. I mean, Fear was meant to be about the Clark family, and when Morgan joins it, it becomes all about him, which alienated a huge portion of the fanbase. After Morgan joined, much of the show revolved around his personal philosophy, which many people had seen and got bored of from the main show. Instead of being a distinct series with its own voice, Fear started to feel like an extension of The Walking Dead, but with weaker writing and less compelling characters. But look, Morgan is no doubt an amazing character. I mean, he even has his moments in Fear the Walking Dead, like in the pilot episode of season 6, but calling him a top 10 Walking Dead universe character, in my opinion, is absolutely crazy, considering he, albeit due to no fault of his own, ruined an entire spin-off show essentially. Look, Morgan doesn't really appear enough on the main show to warrant a spot this high up, and the material he has to work with in Fear the Walking Dead is pretty shocking at times. So I could maybe understand someone sneaking Morgan into 10th spot, possibly, but 3rd place is absolutely ludicrous in my opinion, and the AI has definitely got this one wrong. Coming in at 2nd place, the AI chose Carol Peletier, and although I think 2nd place is probably too high for Carol, I'm willing to hear it out. The AI chose Carol for these reasons. Carol's transformation is arguably the most powerful in the universe, from abused wife to a lethal, emotionally complex survivor. Her inner conflict, maternal instinct, and strategic mind make her unforgettable. She's unpredictable and nauseated in the best way. I love Carol, and I'm glad she got the recognition she deserves from the AI, but like I said, I think second place is a bit too high for her. Me personally, I'd have her around maybe the 6th or 7th position, but I can understand why people might rank her higher. Carol, alongside Daryl, might have one of the biggest transformations in the entire show. She starts off as a timid, abused housewife and morphs into one of the smartest strategic survivors in the series. She always brought a level of unpredictability to the series, and I loved how she always operates in that morally grey area. She is superb throughout the majority of the show, although in season 10 I did find her slightly annoying when she went through that reckless patch of trying to kill Alpha all by herself and getting others in danger. But other than that, she is brilliant. Her friendship, like I mentioned in Daryl's section with Daryl, is just amazing and probably one of the best dynamics in the entire series, and unlike many other characters on this list, Carol will be hitting our screens again very soon with Daryl Dixon season 3. So once again, she is a part of many of the best and most harrowing moments in the series, like the episode The Grove or the group's escape from Terminus. She is pivotal to the plot, she has a great transformation, and she's very likeable, as well as being one of the OG characters, and Melissa McBride plays this role to perfection. I think Carol as a character is layered, flawed, and incredibly human, and while she definitely belongs on a list like this, I think second place is probably a bit too high for her. Okay, I'm sure the fact you hadn't seen him ranked already probably spoiled that Rick Grimes was going to be number 1, but let's see why AI ranked him here. Rick is the moral compass and reluctant leader who evolves from a small town sheriff into a hardened survivor. His arc is the emotional backbone of the original series, and The Ones Who Live further explores his sacrifices and legacy. His struggle between hope and brutality made him endlessly compelling. Look, the AI pretty much sums it up, but Rick Grimes is The Walking Dead. The show to its core is a family drama about him doing everything in his power to protect the ones he loves. And the fact Andrew Lincoln didn't win an Emmy for his portrayal of the character is absolutely mental to me. I mean, I have a whole detailed video about why Rick Grimes is the best character in television history, which you can click on in the top right corner now. So I'm sure you all either know or have guessed that I wholeheartedly agree with this take. I think my favourite way of portraying the greatness of the character is how he amplifies other characters. For example, Glenn and Daryl, their friendship is so heartwarming, and then Rick's bond to Michonne feels natural, and his relationship to his son Carl feels raw and real. Every character seems to work so well with Rick Grimes, and when he left the show in season 9, it just left a huge void. The acting is phenomenal in every scene he appears in, from waking up in the hospital all the way to his sacrifice at the bridge, and The Ones Who Live only further expanded the story of this amazing character. Look, Rick Grimes is The Walking Dead, as I said earlier, and in my opinion, he is the undisputed king of this universe. His battle with morality, his fight for survival, and attempts at doing the right thing in a world gone mad drive the narrative forward, and Andrew Lincoln has this amazing ability to just gel seamlessly with anybody he's working with. Whether it's Negan or Herschel, every dynamic that involves Rick Grimes just intrigues me. So I think the AI has got this one spot on. But like I said earlier, I have a whole video talking about the greatness of the character of Rick Grimes, so if you would like to see a more detailed breakdown, you should definitely check out the video after this. But with that said and done, we've now seen the top 10, so let's draw up a conclusion on how AI did. So, in conclusion, I think the AI has done a decent job. Characters like Rick, Michonne and Alicia are roughly in the right positions. Carol's probably too high, Daryl is probably too low, and then people like Daniel Salazar and Alpha have made an appearance on a top 10 list. It really is a mixed bag, and AI missed some huge names off the top 10 from across the TV universe and the games. For example, Glenn and Maggie, Nick Clark, Troy Otto, Lee and Clementine, the Governor, Herschel, and the fact fact it's ranked characters like Daniel Salazar, who like I said is a good character, but should in no way be making it on this list over these names, is a bit mental to me. So what have we learned from this experiment? Well, we learned that AI is inconsistent with its rankings, but it can actually get some stuff right. So I'd give its opinions on The Walking Dead a solid 6 out of 10. Now, for a little bit of fun at the end of the video, I recorded my live reaction to the AI's lists, so I'll play that for you now. Right, we have ChatGPT up, we have the question ready. I thought this would be a fun little bonus point at the end of the video, where you can see my live reaction to its top 10. So, let's click the button and see what it says. So, top 10. Right, Rick Grimes, number 1, very valid take. Not much. Carol in at 2nd, okay. Morgan Jones in at 3, interesting. I don't know whether this is going, well, it can't be because Daryl's not up here. I was going to say based on episode count, but Daryl's all the way down in number 5. Carol's up at 2, Morgan's in 3rd, Michonne's in at 6, Alicia Clark is at 7, Judith Grimes is at 8. Cool, this list is all over the shop. 9, Daniel Salazar, okay. And finally, Alpha. Right, well, this will be interesting to dissect. But yeah, with that being said, how do you guys think the AI did, and what's your top 10 characters from the Walking Dead universe? If you'd like me to make one about my own opinions, please let me know down below in the comments, and if you enjoyed today's video, please do like and subscribe, as we are so close to hitting 20,000 subscribers, which is just surreal. But thank you for your recent support, and for watching the video, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.